They are the positive cations. Now, the blue ions, that are the oxygen anions, negative ions, and the yellow ion, which is placed at the center of the cube, that is the body centered cubic structure, body centered cubic atom, and this is the cation. So perovskite structure is made up of the two types of the cations and one type of the anions, which is oxygen. Sometimes this is iodide, sometimes there is some other uh, anions. So mostly the ceramics, the oxygen taken the place at the face center of the cube. So this is the perovskite structure. It is a combination, as I told earlier, it's a combination of the face center and the BCC cubic structure. Now, due to the presence of the positive ions and the negative ions, this perovskite structure has the dipoles. So the dipoles, the existing of the dipoles is there. So with the dipoles, this material comes into the category of the dielectrics. The dipoles are there. But in the condition of the simple perovskite structure, when it is a cubic structure, all the dipoles are present in an opposite direction with each other, and they are vanishing the dipole moment. As in the cubic structure, the dipole moment is zero. But in case of the non-symmetry or non-centrosymmetry structure, non-centrosymmetric structure means that the center of the inversion, that is one of the symmetry element, that is not present in this structure. Center of inversion is not present in this structure. For the cubic structure, center of inversion is present, but here in the, if this cubic structure is distorted, that means it goes to the tetragonal structure or orthorhombic structure, then the center of inversion is not present. So at that time, this structure becomes the dipolar, and its dipole moments become some finite value. So what is the motivation behind the problem or the behind the mixing of the perovskites? I have given an introduction to one perovskite. There is a many methods by which the mixing of the perovskites can be done. First is the mixed perovskites, that is have the different B cations. The two types of the B cations.
Hello, sir. Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you go to your previous slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you have highlighted about the dipole moment. Okay,
Yes.
can you speak about the dipole moment when the dipole moment will vanish, whether it is for distorted cubic structure or undistorted cubic structure?
The dipole moment will be vanished when it has a cubic structure, because in the cubic structure, the dipoles that are present in the uh, perovskite structure, that are exactly equal and opposite direction. So that is why the vector sum of the dipole moment becomes zero when it is in a cubic structure.
Okay,
Now, in
okay,
distorted structure means we are getting the tetragonal structure. Suppose we are getting tetragonal structure. Then our parameter, lattice parameter becomes A is equal to B, not equal to C. So it is elongated along the C direction. So that is why the dipole moments are not exactly cancel each other. So that is why it becomes dipolar in tetragonal structure. And similarly in orthorhombic
okay.
and rhombic.
Yeah.
You got it?
The dipole moment is non-zero.
Yeah, non-zero.
Yes. Yeah, I
Yes,
got it.
yes.
Uh, so, can you please tell whether the distortion is performed from the octahedral distortion or any other distortion?
No, sir. No. This is a distortion means that is a different types of the materials which show different type of the crystal structure in the perovskite. So this distortion is
Yes.
not taken place by the octahedral or the other things, but this is by default the lattice parameters of the crystal structure itself decide that whether the material or whether the molecule is basically dipolar or not. Later on, when we apply the
Okay.
electric field, that will I will discuss further. When we apply the electric field, then octahedral distortion will take place.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
And Vinder sir,
Yes.
is this okay with you to ask questions during the session, or we can
Yes. No.
after
No.
the
No.
session?
No. No. That is good. That is good.
But
That,
okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
so the mixing of the ions at the B side. B side means the B cation side. That there are the two types of the ions that I have mentioned here. That is one is the D0 ions and one is the Dn ions. So first of all, I will introduce what is D0 ion. D0 ion is the ion which has the electrons in the d orbitals zero, absence of the electrons in the d orbitals. Suppose titanium is the one of the material. Titanium has the valence state that is equal to 4 plus. If we are taking about the titanium 4 plus, then titanium 4 plus has the no electrons into the d orbitals. Similarly, if we are talking about the Dn atoms, Dn ions, sorry, Dn ions is the ions in which the number of the electrons which are present, they are unpaired and has some finite value into the d orbitals. So these types of the mixing of the one of the D0 and Dn ions itself gives the multifunctionality to the perovskites, and it will comes out with different properties and some additional degrees of freedom for the device applications of the technology. So it has been written here, the structural distortion driven by the temperature, external pressure, or chemical substitution leads to an extraordinary richness of the physical properties within the families of the perovskites and further become interesting due to the presence of the magnetic instabilities. So here it is clear that the structural distortion can also be made by the temperature, external pressure, and chemical substitution. The example of the chemical substitution that is in front of you, that we have made the cation B substitution. Suppose this perovskite is A, B prime O3. Now we have substituted the B double prime at the place of the B prime. Suppose this is a 50-50 or it is a 70-30, whatever will be the composition. So this perovskite becomes the more multifunctional and different properties will come out from the perovskites. So one of the first examples of the mixing of the perovskites is the multifroics. Multifroics is the word that comes into the in the science in the technology is very old, but the work has been done on this application is started from the 2000, and itself the 20 years of the multifroics are also is now completing, and these materials has a wide applications in different directions of the science. Now, what are the multifroics? multiferroics are the material that possess more than one ferroic property. What are the ferroic properties? Ferroic properties are ferromagnetism, ferroelectricity, and ferroelasticity. You people are very much familiar with the ferromagnetism. That is a very popular property of the transition metals. Now, the ferroelectricity is the same kind of the behavior into the polarization and the electric field, and this behavior is exactly copying the ferromagnetism hysteresis loop. That is why the ferro word is there. So this is a ferroelectricity, and the ferroelasticity, that is a similar kind of the strain versus जो strain versus field effect is there. So that is why it is called ferroelasticity. Now another thing is there. If the two properties are present into the material, if the two properties are present into the material and these properties are basically coupled to each other, that means the ferroelectric and magnetic properties are coupling with each other, then it is called the magnetoelectric coupling. This is one of the coupling. And if the ferroelasticity and ferroelectricity is there, then we called it is a piezoelectricity is there, electrostation is there. So many properties, many device applications, many phenomena are present there. So the magnetoelectric effect is first predicted by Sir P. Curie in 1894, and he defined the magnetoelectric effect such as polarization can be set in using a magnetic field and magnetization can be induced by the electric field. That is the vice versa properties can be set into the structure, into the crystal. So that is the polarization can be set by the magnetic field, although it is set by the electric field, but it is also done by the magnetic field. This is a very small value of the polarization that can be induced by the magnetic field. So this is the magnetoelectric effect is there. But the verification of this magnetoelectric effect has been done in later on years. So this is the equation that has been induced by the Landau's theory, that the energy of the material, that is an magnetoelectric material, is given. Now the first two terms that are very much introduced, that is one of the epsilon E square is the epsilon naught E square is the electrical energy stored inside the material. 1/2 mu naught H square is the energy stored, magnetic energy stored into the material, and alpha EI and HJ. This is the alpha EJ is the called linear magnetoelectric effect or coefficient. This is the coefficient, and beta and gamma in the later on terms is the dynamic effect of the dynamic coefficient of the magnetoelectric effect. So let us discuss about the ferroelectricity, the three terms that as a contribute. So in the multiferroics, most of the work has been done on the magnetic and the ferroelectric ordering. So that is why I have put the ferroelectricity and ferromagnetism introduction of the these properties inside this presentation. So the word piezoelectricity comes into the picture, that when we apply some kind of stress to the material, it produces some kind of the EMF. So this is the piezoelectricity. Now there are the some materials of the piezoelectricity category which shows the polarization versus electric field hysteresis loop. These materials are called the ferroelectric materials. And ferroelectric materials are defined as the materials which are showing some kind of the some kind of the polarization reversal of with the electric field. What is the polarization reversal? That is when we apply the positive electric field, the saturation of the positive polarization is there. So this is the one side of the polarization. When we switch the electric field to the negative direction, the polarization is also gone to the negative polarization saturation. So with the switching of the electric field, polarization is also switching. So that is called the polarization reversal with the electric field. So this is called the ferroelectricity. Now here is the ferromagnetism is there. In the ferromagnetism, this is very much clear that hysteresis loop is in the magnetization and applied magnetic field. Again, the magnetization reversal is there with the magnetic field, and this is has the same kind of the saturation, positive saturation, magnetization saturation with the positive magnetic field, and negative saturation with the negative magnetic field. So this is kind of the hysteresis in ferromagnetism. Now, what are the multifluids pictorial depicted? How multifluids come into the category? How we can represent the multifluids? So this is in the first diagram, A diagram, it is shown that the materials are categorized in different sets The left hand side ellipse shows the magnetically polarizable materials that can be magnetized. Either it's a paramagnetic, either it's a diamagnetic, either is a paramagnetic, either is a ferromagnetic, either is a antiferromagnetic or the ferrimagnetic. Whatever the materials are there, that comes into this set. On right hand side, the electrical polarizable materials are there. So any materials which are dielectrics that are present in this material which shows some kind of the polarization while applying the electric field. Now the left black circle shows the ferromagnetic material which have the spontaneous magnetization, and it shows the ferromagnetic materials. The green circle shows the ferroelectric material. Now according to the definition, the intersection of the ferromagnetic and ferroelectric materials, this is shown as, can be represented as the multifluid material. The both properties are there. But the application point of view, the different type of the orange circle is there. That shows the materials which shows magnetoelectric coupling. That is which shows the coupling between the ferromagnetic and the ferroelectric orders. So this is called the magnetoelectric materials. So magnetoelectric materials can be multifluidic or not, but all the magnetoelectric materials are show the magnetoelectric coupling. Now the figure B shows the parameters versus the stimulators, and these stimulators show the what kind of the phenomena that is present. So if the coupling between electric field and magnetic field is there, then it is called the magnetoelectricity. If the coupling between the strain and the electric field is there, then it is called the piezoelectricity. And if the coupling between the sigma and H is there, then it is called magnetoelasticity. These are the functional properties that are concerned with the stimulators. Now, what are the applications of the multifluids? The application of the main application of the multifluids is the data storage. The ferroelectric materials are used to devise up the ferroelectric ramps, and the ferromagnetic materials which are very much usable into the normal data storage that we are using nowadays. Now, Ferroelectrics and ferroelectrics has the two degrees of freedom, and ferromagnetism also has the 2 degrees of the freedom. Now the multifluids has the presence of these both these properties. That is why the multifluids has the 4 degrees of the freedom. That is 2 into 2. So these 4 degrees of freedom can be used for a large data storage. So that is why the multifluids can be done into the data storage applications. These are very useful. So this is one of the examples that we are synthesized in our lab. That is, this is a combination of the lead titanate, one of the famous and good ferroelectric material, and other is the NdFeO3, which is a magnetical insulator, and it is known as the antiferromagnetic material. The X-ray, we have synthesized 3 types of the solid solution. That is X is equal to 0.20, X is equal to 0.25, and X is equal to 0.30. These are the 3 types of the 3 compositions of the solid solutions, and these solid solutions will show different types of the structure by the addition of the niobium and the iron. So the X is equal to 0.20 shows the tetragonal structure. It is clear from the XRD. So I will not go into the details of the XRD analysis. I'll simply show that in the figure C, in the figure C, the splitting of the peaks are there. That splitting of the peaks will show you and will induce an information that this is a tetragonal structure. Now, the analysis of this tetragonality and the other crystal structure is done by the Rietveld refinement. That is, we will do into the our laboratory. So I'll only tell you that this is this structure. Anyone who is interested to get the information of this Rietveld refinement can talk to the Dr. Randeep, that is my student, that is present in the slide, nowadays in slide. So she can tell that how this structure can be refined with the Rietveld refinement. So X is equal to 0.20. That is it has the tetragonal structure, which is a structure of the lead titanate also. X is equal to 0.25 is the structure of the tetragonal structure, which is of the structure of tetragonal, and the X is equal to 0.3. The tetragonality becomes very small, and we can say that this is a cubic structure. Now some preliminary results of the X is equal to 20, X is equal to 20 solid solution. The polarization versus electric field that we have taken, and it shows the very good polarization versus electric field loop. And some kind of the magnetic loop, magnetic hysteresis is there. Although magnetic hysteresis is very feeble, but it shows some kind of the magnetic measurements. Then we want to measure the magnetoelectric coupling. So in that case, what we have done the ferroelectric loop in the measurement of the presence of magnetic field. So what we have done, we put the sample holder inside the magnetic field, and first we have taken the hysteresis loop into the zero magnetic field, and then we have taken the hysteresis loop into the 20,000 or extent, and the change into the polarization is clearly evident. So that is why it shows that some kind of magnetoelectric coupling is there. So the same experiment has been repeated for the dielectric properties. We have done the dielectric measurements in the presence of the magnetic field and in the absence of magnetic field. The change into the magnetic into the dielectric constant is there. So this is called the magnetodielectric property. So with the indication from these two measurements, it is clear that the x is equal to 0.20 is a multiferroic material with magnetoelectric coupling. Similarly, the presence of the results of x is equal to 0.25 is there. Now the hysteresis loop becomes little bit lossy and the magnetic measurements becomes more. Magnetic measurement become stronger. So basically when the multiferroics, both of the properties are coming to each other at the cost of each other. So if the ferroelectricity is strong, then the magnetic hysteresis is small, and if the magnetic hysteresis is strong, then the ferroelectric properties become weaker. So we have to play with the properties and get a optimized value to get the higher magnetic fields, higher multiferroic properties. So these was the examples of the multiferroics that we have synthesized in our lab. We have synthesized many materials, but this is one of the materials that we have taken the example. So now we come to the category of the multicaloric materials. The multicaloric materials is the materials which can be used for the modern refrigeration technology. So refrigeration means we have to lower the temperature of a system and we will shift its heat to the environment. We are using different types of the refrigeration devices in our daily life and some of the devices into the laboratory. Nowadays we are using the gas-based refrigerants and we are using compressor technology to make the temperature lower. Now multicalorics is some shows the different type of the refrigeration. This is a conventional refrigeration, that is the Carnot, based on the Carnot cycle, but the conventional refrigeration has many disadvantages. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of this normal, that is a conventional refrigeration is there? It has smaller size for given capacity of the refrigeration. It has less running cost. It can be applied over large range of temperatures. The coefficient of performance is quite high. The temperature at the evaporator can be easily controlled by the regulating expansion valve. It requires the smaller evaporator. Disadvantages also there. The major disadvantage of the gas refrigerants is that this is an environmental hazard. The gas will go into the environment, the gas goes into the environment, and then many problems comes into the environment, and the initial cost of the refrigerant is very high. This is the major disadvantage of the refrigerant. Now the modern technology, what are the solutions for the modern refrigeration? So there are the first, this effect is there. One is called electrocaloric effect is there. Magnetocaloric effect is there. And the presence of the both of these effects, the multicaloric effect is there. So first we will discuss the electrocaloric effect. What is the electrocaloric effect? It is the effect that when we apply the electric field to a material which is electrocaloric in nature, the temperature of the material becomes high. little bit high, not exactly too much high, but it shows some rise into the temperature of the material. Now, when we remove the electric field, it again loses that temperature and it goes to the normal ambient temperature. So this is the coupling of the electric field to the dipolar parameters by changing the electric field. Now, what is the history of the electrocaloric effect? It starts into the 1930. The first experiment one done on the Rochley salt but failed. In 1963, the again experiment was done with some better accuracy and some kind of the temperature change in millikelvin was reported. And in the beginning of the 21st century, many people have done some work on the piezoelectric films and organic materials, and the giant ECE exceeding 12 Kelvin was observed. Now, this is a comparison between the classical and electrocaloric cooling that is there. So, I already have told that how the electrocaloric cooling was done. That is the electric field we have applied on the material. Then the material temperature of the material has been changed. Now we remove the extra temperature, we remove the heat from the material, and we get the same temperature as it is earlier. Now we have removed the electric field, and it shows some kind of the cooling effect is there. So this is the electrocaloric refrigeration, which is much efficient than the classic conventional refrigeration. So here are the materials which can show the electrocaloric effect. That is the ferroic materials that has the presence of the multiferrocity or the multicaloricity is there. That is shows the electrocaloric effects. The methods of the measurement of the electrocaloric effect is the two type of the measurements of the electrocaloric effect, is the indirect and direct electrocaloric effect. So the Maxwell method is there to show indirect effect, electrocaloric effect, and the Clausius-Clapeyron equation that we will use to get the indirect electrocaloric effect. The direct electrocaloric effect has the many other methods. The electrocaloric effect is very much high at the phase transition, at any phase transition in ferroelectrics. The ferroelectric materials are very good examples of the electrocaloric effect that are present. So the direct measurements, the thermocouple and thermometer, we can use the direct thermocouple, a good accuracy thermocouple or thermometer, and differential scanning calorimeter. That is one of the DSC that we can use to get the direct measurement. Specially designed calorimeters, infrared camera, and scanning thermal microscopy. These are the different kind of the devices which can measure the electrocaloric effect. But that is not our focus. We will come into the multicalorics, that is much more efficient materials. Advantage of the electrocaloric effect is that more efficient than conventional technologies, no gases are involved, low vibration and noise, compact size and light weight. This is the advantages of the electrocaloric effect. The magnetocaloric effect has the similar behavior with the electrocaloric effect, but the only change is there. We are using the magnetocaloric effect and material magnetocaloric, and we are using the magnetic field as the effect. Magnetic field as effect. Now, this is showing same kind of the behavior as the electrocaloric effect is there. It starts on the 1917s on the discovery in nickel near the Curie temperature. Later on, it goes on many materials, and in 2014, the electric field control on the of the magnetocaloric effect is in nickel, manganese, indium, copper, cobaltolite. This is the history of the magnetocaloric effects. Now, again, the ferric materials can be used as the magnetocaloric effect, and some typical ferromagnetic material is gadolinium that has been done. Again, the same methods can be used to calculate the magnetocaloric effect, and the advantages of the magnetocaloric effect is the purchase cost may be high, but running cost is are 20% less than the conventional killers, and the gases are not involved there, so that is why the magnetocaloric effect is there. But electrocaloric and magnetocaloric we are using these days. One of the adiabatic demagnetization, that is the liquefaction of the helium that we are using. But the multicaloric materials are very less nowadays. This is a very new direction of the science of the material science which we are going on. That is electrocaloric effect and magnetic caloric effect are present, and this is the multicaloric effect is there, the presence of it. So the history of the multicaloric is started with the 1990s, and the work on these materials is going on nowadays. So same material that we have chosen for the multiferrocity that we have selected, the NdFeO3 and lead timinate salt solution. And now we have taken the x is equal to 2,5. This is the material which shows the multiferrocity and hysteresis loop and the magnetic in the ferroelectricity and magnetism is there. Now we are using showing that the multiferrocity is very less in this material. The loop is showing not much change in polarization, but the electrocaloric effect is present in this material. The electrocaloric effect has the very fine range in this material, and the magnetocaloric effect is also present in this. So any multiferroic material which shows a good multiferroic property can be a multicaloric material. In the multicaloric material, the temperature, change in temperature becomes more large, and the effect of the magnetic and electric effect can be used together, or by the electric field we are switching, we are basically getting the magnetocaloric and electrocaloric effect. So this is a new science that is going on. So this is the end of my talk, and I now give the mic to the coordinators. So thanks. If any queries, please. हाँ जी कनिका.
Hello.
हाँ जी.
Dear participants, if you want to ask any question, please.
Hello, sir. Can you go to your X-ray slides?
X-ray.
The slides which contain the X-ray result.
Okay. हाँ जी सर.
In can you zoom it? Yes. So in figure C, so when we increase the concentration, as the
Yes.
x is increasing, our peak is also, I mean, disappearing.
Yeah.
In with lowest concentration, there is one peak. With increase in x, the peak is increasing. Is it?
Mhm.
So can we explain in the context of physics, sir? I mean, why the peak is
Why peak
disappearing
is
more?
yeah disappearing.
Yes, 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 yes.
Basically, what is happening in this structure? The lead titanate is a tetragonal material. When we introducing the NdFeO3 is orthorhombic structure. Now we are mixing the
Oh,
NdFeO3 with the lead titanate. Now what happens? When we are making a solid solution, the basically gives free energy for the case of the which phase is minimum, that will come into the picture, that will come into the crystal material. So that is why when we have mixed the x is equal to 2 0, the tetragonal structure is there, but the C by A ratio is very close to the lead titanate because the substitution is very less. As we are going on, as we have increased the substitution 0.25, the C by A ratio, we have seen that which is the tetragonality parameter, is less as compared to lead titanate. This means that the distortion into the perovskite structure is decreasing. And as we have gone to the x is equal to 0.30, the C by A ratio becomes 1. That means it is a clearly cubic structure is there. So the phase which has the minimum energy, that will come into the picture, and that has shows some kind of the changes into the peaks. So when we have the cubic structure, then the peaks are in the singlets, and in the tetragonal the splittings are there. It depends upon the nucleation and the growth and the free energy of the phase.
okay, okay.
Sir, one more question is here.
Yes.
How these materials are useful in the design of efficient solar cells?
सोलर सेल्स में ये मटेरियल यूज नहीं हो सकते. सोलर सेल में डिफरेंट परवोस्काइट्स हैं, वो उसको हम कहते हैं ऑर्गेनिक परवोस्काइट्स. वो हमारे पास CH3 CH2 आयोडाइड्स हैं, वो यूज होते हैं सोलर सेल में. तो उनको हम परवोस्काइट सोलर सेल बोलते हैं. उसमें सिरामिक्स जो हैं वो डायरेक्टली यूज नहीं होते.
Dr. Satveer, if you want to ask anything else. Yeah, thanks. Dear participants, if you have any queries, please.
So I have one question.
Yes.
So actually, I wanted to know how do we explain about the time reversal symmetry in case of the multiferric materials for ferromagnetism. How do we tell that there is time reversal symmetry in these materials?
Time reversal, actually the diagram for the time reversal is not there, so that we can discuss later on sometime, because
Actually, I
right
wanted.
now it is.
Okay.
So that is why.
Okay, so actually, okay. Sir.
पूछ सकते हो पर लाइक बोलो.
So actually, that only because I have been working with one of the material for multiferrics. So
Yes.
understanding that part, actually, I was having some trouble in understanding the time reversal.
You can take my email ID and give me exact problem. Then I will discuss with you that time reversal. The time reversal I have not shown in this presentation, so
Yes.
that is why I can't explain that.
Okay, sir.
Anyone else? So, I guess.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Jatin, पूछिए.
Sorry, actually. Yeah. So for the sake of curiosity, I'm asking it. So with increasing your concentration, like if we increase the titanium concentration, whether the system is stabilizing towards insulating or metallic.
It's a insulating because titanium shows the insulating properties. Iron is
Yeah.
showing metallic properties.
Yes, yes.
So the
Yeah.
iron, with the increase of iron, is a metallic, and for titanium, it's insulating, shows insulating properties.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I guess there is no more question. So thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time for AFMIT 2020 and for sharing your research ideas. I hope our all participants will be benefited from your research ideas. And